All right, family, we are going to be talking about today about when you should be eating your carbs. And the first thing that I want to talk about is we have heard often the misconception of how carbs are bad. We hear people say you want to lose weight, eat less carbs, or don't eat any carbs at all if you want to lose weight. But then you hear people say, no, carbs are good. You should be eating carbs. They're good for your body. And so you hear carbs are bad, carbs are good. So I'm sure you're in the place where you're like, okay, I know carbs are good, but when should I be eating them then? Should I be eating them late at night or not eating them late at night because I don't want them to turn into fat? Should I be having them before my workouts? So we're going to be talking about that today. And first, we're going to start off by saying the benefits of carbs, because you have heard people say take away carbs for weight loss. Even my dad has gone to the doctor, and his doctor, because my dad has diabetes, they have told him don't eat tortillas, don't eat bread. So even doctors are saying this, friends, TV, whatever it is, but we know carbs are good for your body. And in summary, this is the benefits of carbs. Energy for your workouts. Since we are talking about health and getting in shape, carbs are going to be beneficial for your workouts to give you energy. So not just like your workouts in lifting or doing cardio, but then also just daily living. You're going through your day, carbs are going to give you energy so you could be sharp and not tired and fatigued. So carbs are good. But then you might ask yourself, when should I be eating these carbs? Because one thing that I could think off the top of my head is oftentimes people's like, should I not be eating after 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. my carbs because they're going to turn into fat? So we'll get into that. But the first thing that, since we are talking about carbs when it comes to working out, because this was the question, how this topic got sparked, is like, I'm working out, but when should I be eating my carbs? Should I eat them before, after? So this is it. If you are going to be having carbs, it is beneficial to have them before your workouts, because we do know there's science showing that carbohydrates before your workouts are going to give you more energy to push harder and train harder for longer. So carbs are going to be beneficial. But that is not always the case. So we will talk about that you necessarily don't need carbs before you're working out. But if you are going to be a person that's going to eat carbs because they are beneficial, this is going to be the recommendation. Have your carbs 1 to 2 hours before your workouts, because we do know that those carbs are going to give you energy. And usually, because you are going to be having some food before your workouts, you don't want to eat something heavy. So you want to choose some light foods, easy to digest foods. So a perfect example could be like have a banana, carbohydrates, have some dates, have a protein shake. All this is light food. Protein shake with the banana, you get some protein, you get some carbs. It's not super filling or make you feel bloated in your stomach. Then you could go work out 1 to 2 hours after that. And you'll have energy to push through the workouts. And then another time that will be beneficial for you to have your carbs is going to be after your workouts. Because we know that you pushed hard in your workouts, you trained your muscles hard. When you go home, you don't necessarily have to, within 30 minutes of your workout, eat your carbs, but just be mindful after your workout. If it takes you an hour and a half to get home and cook, after your workouts it's going to be good to have some carbs, because you broke down the muscle. It's going to be good for you to have some carbs, some protein to replenish your muscles and start recovering your muscles. So carbs before your workouts and after your workouts is going to be important. But don't worry too much about how fast after your workout, because that is a big misconception that people have talked in the past, where right after your workout, you literally have your carbs and your protein like 10 minutes right after because you're like, I need to get them right after. Don't worry about being exactly 10 minutes after, an hour and a half. Just make sure that after your workout, that would be beneficial. Okay. But then now back to the topic that I was talking about earlier that you might not really need carbs is this. Then the question would be like, do you really need carbs prior to your workouts? And this is what you have to ask yourself if you're not going to have carbs before your workouts or worry too much about carbs around your workouts. If you feel fine waking up in the morning, let's just say you're waking up in the morning, you don't eat anything and you go to the gym and you do cardio or lift weights and you feel fine, then you don't need carbs. You're totally fine without carbs. And let me tell you, that person is me. I train in the morning. I train fasted. I don't eat carbs. I go to the gym and I train fine. I don't feel like it messes with my performance. I perform great. I lift heavier weights every single time. I progress fine. Over the years, I progress so fine. I don't need to eat carbs before. But it depends on the person. And then I will give you one more thing too. It's even during contest prep when I'm preparing for my bodybuilding shows where I'm eating very little amount of food because I'm trying to get so lean. Even during contest prep, I train fasted. Some people might be like, ooh, because you are in a calorie deficit, eating less food and losing body fat, it might be beneficial to have carbs before. But to me, it never affected me. So you might be like that. And if you don't feel like it's messing with your energy or performance, then you don't have to worry about eating carbs before your workouts. And then these are some other benefits of that I find that are good training fasted. To me, this is to me. And one thing is, I wake up, sometimes you don't want to eat some breakfast and feel a bunch of food in your stomach and then you feel bloated and full and it just messes with your workout. I like to train on an empty stomach because there is no stomach discomfort, nothing digesting in my stomach when I'm working out. So I feel better training fasted. So that's one. Another thing that you could imagine, I think there might be some sense to this is if you're training fasted, chances are, since there's nothing in your stomach, you're working out, whether you're lifting weights, doing cardio, your body could be tapping into fat storages instead of digesting and burning the food that you ate. So you could be burning fat during your workouts if you're training fasted. So that could be one thing. Also, I think this one's good because you're training fasted with nothing in your stomach. I feel leaner in the morning. I feel leaner. I don't feel fat. So I'm training, I feel skinny, just say if you're a girl or a guy, you feel skinnier, leaner, you don't feel fat, you feel better about yourself, you push harder because you feel good in your skin. So that could be one benefit. And then something that just sparked in my head is because you are training fasted, I like to take caffeine or pre-workout. It probably hits you a little bit harder than if you actually eat some food. Picture this, like alcohol. If you're drinking alcohol on an empty stomach, it's going to hit you harder than if you had a big fat meal and then drink alcohol. It's not going to hit you as hard. So the pre-workout and caffeine could be the same. Training fasted, the pre-workout kicks in harder, you push harder, and you have a better workout. But now, to follow up, let's just say after all these benefits, you might be like, ooh, I want to train fasted as well. Well, just consider this. If you are a person, because I have had people tell me this, that they go training to the gym fasted, but they feel lightheaded. 30 minutes in, they're lightheaded, their head hurts, or maybe they're hungry. Then if that's you, then probably you should have maybe a banana and a protein shake before you work out, because some people just get lightheaded and need those carbs to fuel them through their workout. So if that is you, feeling lightheaded or low energy, then eating some carbs before your workout is going to be beneficial for you. But in summary, there is no specific time that is going to be crucial or like you must eat your carbs at this time. There is no time. I think the best time to eat your carbs is what fits your lifestyle and your schedule. Okay? So the best practice for sure that you do want to follow, since I did say there is no specific time, this is what you should shoot for. Try to have 3 meals a day that have carbs, but then also protein. We are talking about carbs, but you also want to have carbs and protein together. So try to have at least 3 meals a day, because we do know that if you have carbs and protein together, it's going to stimulate protein synthesis. Anabolic stuff is going to be happening inside your body, which is meaning that it's going to be building muscle, recovering muscle. So if you have 3 meals with protein and carbs, 3 times throughout the day, your body's going to stimulate protein synthesis and start recovering your muscles. So that would be the best practice. I personally do 2 just because it fits my schedule so perfectly. But ideally, for the best results, you probably should be doing 3. Some people do 4, but I would say 3 is the best thing you could do. And one of the big things too, why I may not recommend for everybody, because I did tell you that I do 2 meals a day, is because to me, I don't get hungry between those 2 meals, so I'm fine. But the whole point of you doing 3 meals is that you don't want to have a big window of not eating. Let's just say that you do 2 meals. You eat at 8 in the morning and then you don't eat till like 7 p.m. at night. Since you have that big window in between, you might be starving yourself, where for dinner you might end up eating a bunch of food, overeating, or moody through that window because you're hungry. So the best thing, the reason too why it's beneficial to have 3 meals is because you spread out your meals. So you have something at breakfast, you start getting a little bit of hungry through the day. At lunch, you have lunch, and then for dinner. So you prevent yourself from feeling extra hungry through your meal times. And then lastly, I think it's good to save your carbs to when you feel like you will enjoy them. And an example would be, let's just say that you are a person that wakes up in the morning and you really are not hungry. There's a lot of people that are not breakfast people. You're like, man, I don't get hungry till like 12. Like till lunch is when I actually get hungry. So if that is you, you don't have to eat breakfast. Don't feel like, oh man, I have to eat breakfast. The whole point would be, if you do get hungry till lunchtime, that's fine. But don't be that person that doesn't eat breakfast, but because you're starving yourself all the way till 12 and you're like, oh my God, 12, that's when I'm really hungry. You end up making bad choices, because when you're hungry, you start making bad choices. You want like the most tasty thing you could think of. Then probably that's not the best idea. But if you actually have a meal planned for lunch already when you normally get hungry, and you skip all the breakfast and then your lunch is nice and healthy, let's just say a little bit of chicken, rice, broccoli, a fruit, then perfect. Wait till you're actually hungry. So you get to save your calories, your food, to when you really are hungry. And since you're not eating breakfast, you probably could eat more food for lunch and then also have more food for dinner. I know me personally, I like to have a big dinner. I would actually prefer to have a smaller breakfast and lunch. And then for dinner, I like to sit down, because it's the end of day where I get to sit down, have a fat meal, high carbs, and I just feel like I finish my dinner and I feel nice and full, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm ready to watch TV and go to bed. And so that's when I like to have my carbs, mainly for dinner. So it would be when it fits your schedule. All right, family, that wraps it up. I hope you find something helpful out of this topic today. If you like the video, please press that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.